Dr. Jazz. Dr. Jazz.
Here we
Yeah.
go. Can you
Oh
see
man.
it?
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Nice cover.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is
Challenge. Is it Challenge?
yeah, I think maybe Challenge is the distributor.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
Challenge
sure.
Records. You're
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely
sure.
right.
Yeah.
It's called Double Moon Records, but it's
yeah.
distributed by Challenge Records. That's the deal.
Beautiful. Cool. I'll try to
Yep.
find it. Nice. Super. Nice to see that this band is still active. That you guys still are playing.
And we were lucky because that was really kind of a magical gig. It was the first gig of the tour, and everybody was really excited to play. And there was just, it's very, very loose, but the improvisational stuff is just amazing. So
Is it with Steven?
I'm really happy
Bernstein?
with it. It's Bernstein.
Bernstein and okay,
on the
Jose.
trumpet and the slide trumpet, and Jose Davila
super.
on the tuba, the sousaphone, and Tommy Campbell
Yeah,
on drums. So
beautiful.
it's a hell of a band, man. That
Yeah.
band is yeah.
Beautiful.
So this next one will be see if I can get this to quiet down a little bit. The next one will be the same, except James Zoller is coming on the trumpet.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Still. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's going to be beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just hope we can do it,
Yeah.
man.
But
Yeah, right.
Ray, when was it, since we were talking about going to Europe, when was the first time you went to Europe, actually? Was it like with Anthony Braxton in the 70s or even before?
It was in the 70s. And I went, I think the very first time was with Braxton. I think that was the very first time. I guess that was 78.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And we went to the Murs Festival up in Germany, and it was a Braxton big band.
So that's the creative orchestra, the Köln.
That's the creative music orchestra,
wow.
right? Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think that was the first time I ever went. I also did go to Europe in the late 70s with Barry Altschul.
Oh yeah,
and Mark Helias. That was Barry Altschul trio then.
I love that band. Yeah,
and we also went right in that same period of time, right around 77, 78. So I can't remember exactly which one was first, but that was my first European stuff.
Yeah. How was that like for you? You remember like the first time coming over here?
Oh, that was wonderful for me. That was incredible. Yeah. Before I started working with Braxton, I was just living in New York and making a living largely playing Latin music.
Really? I didn't know that.
Latin music.
Really?
That was like bread and butter, and I loved it. It's fun to do. But then I would play jazz and my own stuff and create music. Whenever there was an opportunity, it was kind of like, okay, so all afternoon you just go somewhere and just play, and then if you're lucky enough to have a gig, you go to the gig at night. And the gig then was I was doing rhythm and blues and other stuff and anything, but mostly working in the Latin music scene. And
really, wow,
I learned a lot from it, man. It was fabulous. It was wonderful.
Yeah, amazing.
It was beautiful education, and playing for dancers. Man, there's nothing like playing for dancers, So, so I just loved that. That was a great period. But
these 70s in New York, how was? Did you also catch the loft scene, like the early 70s? Or
yes, because I came to New York in 73.
Oh, okay, was that early?
And the loft scene was jumping. That was the scene really at that point. I mean, I hardly ever went to the very rarely did I go to the Vanguard or something like that. You know, it was mostly go to Sam Rivers' place and Jolie Wilson's place
Oh
and
man.
Rashid Ali's place and you know, Environ and all those. But yeah, there was a beautiful scene. There's a
Man.
lot of music. Yeah, yeah,
Man. I
yeah.
wish that stuff was recorded. I mean, I talked once to Elias and to Liebman, and they told me the sessions that were happening, you know, who gathered. And I wish
Yeah,
you guys had like recorders to record that stuff, because that must have been like, you know,
yeah, yeah. You know, it's very interesting to think that this is actually before we were, you know, this is before little cassette recorders came
yeah,
out.
exactly.
I remember when that came out, it was kind of revolutionary. You could buy this little thing, you know, and a cassette, and you could like record what you were doing. But before that, it was like record what you're doing. You got to go to a music studio,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So that was that, you know, I remember these little little Sony things. They didn't cost that much, you know, little thing like this. And you know, like had a speaker in it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's incredible.
Yeah. There was a double album of some loft jazz stuff
Oh, really?
that came out on I forget what label. I'm not on the record, but I know David Murray's on there and
Oh,
a
man.
bunch of people I played with are on there. You know, it's some kind of sampling. I don't know what label that was, but there was some documentation, and maybe there's more now. I don't know. You know.
Yeah,
But
no, but it's just like, it sounds amazing when I hear this, you know, like, you know, all of these amazing musicians you guys playing, and just like probably incredible music that must
yeah,
have been
there was
happening
there
there.
was a lot of incredible music. It was a beautiful time, and it kind of reminds me in a way of what's going on now in
Really?
New York, because you know the loft scene, eh, also similar in some ways to the AACM, it,
Mhm.
it is a thing of musicians trying to take control of their own destiny with the commercialization of
Yeah,
music. It's like for a whole bunch of reasons, like, well, the places that exist won't hire the adventurous stuff that we're doing. That's one good reason to do your own thing. But the other thing, you know, was also just economically trying to be
yeah,
in control of your, you know, it's like, well, we live here, so we'll charge $5, you know, and we'll pay the band something, and you know, it's like we
yeah,
just do this really simple thing, you know, without the licensing, and we don't have a liquor license, and you know, we just do this, you know, and you know, man, there's a lot of that going on now.
Hmm.
There's a lot of that going on, like house concerts
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
you know,
living
little
room concerts.
spaces
Yeah,
all in Brooklyn. Yeah, yeah. And they, you know, they don't really pay anything, which is a shame, you know, but musically, there is stuff happening, or at least until COVID shut everything down,
yeah, okay, yeah,
there
that's
was a
different.
bunch of stuff happening,
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, so you know, and like the AACM in the mid
yeah,
60s, it's like the cat says, well, you know, all the club owners are white, all the record label owners are white, the whole establishment is white, and we're you know, kind of getting ripped off, and we want to do our own thing, you
yeah,
know. So that these are, in other words, that's interesting. That's a trend that keeps happening, you know. And it seems to me there's really a great need for it now.
yeah.
You
Now,
know,
especially even bigger, I think musicians just want to play, you know, also
absolutely.
to do
Right.
music, because we miss it, right? It's just
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
this thing of
Yeah.
interaction with players and improvising. And
Yeah. We just want to play, and people want to hear it too.
yeah,
And
exactly.
the you know, the difficulty right now is the fact that the internet has absolutely devalued music to the point of
True,
almost nothing. It's
true.
basically worthless.
Yeah,
So how do you make a living when your art is worthless? You know, that's a really that's a good question. You
yeah,
know,
it's bizarre. Yeah, I
That's-
mean, if you
That's a
imagine,
really good question.
I tell
Yeah.
this to my students who the younger than me, and they just don't, the idea of an album, you know, how you know, you wrote the music, that's now like, okay, that's kind of normal that you write music. It's nothing special even in
Yeah.
their eyes, but it is, right? It's original music. It's something,
Yeah.
you practice
Right.
your instrument for 10,000 of hours. That's okay.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
spent money for the studio,
Right.
paid the musicians.
Right.
Yeah, that's okay. That's nothing. And then people are not even willing, let's say, to buy a record, and it's like, what do you mean?
Yeah,
You
this
know,
is terrible.
it's bizarre times.
This,
I mean,
yeah.
really, yeah.
Yeah, no, this is bizarre and terrible, and actually unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's not getting enough publicity in my mind, is that, you know, in the States anyway, in 1996, they had a thing in the government, in Congress, like, okay, what do we do with this internet? Now there's all these internet sites opening. What's the deal with free speech versus copyright,
Yeah.
you know, in the internet? And in 96, which is way before anybody saw where this was going, so not really to cast blame or anything, but the folks that were that had websites, you know, like AOL and all
Yeah.
those, you know, they all managed to convince Congress that this was a free speech issue. And therefore, if you had a website, free speech meant you could put on your website whatever you wanted to
Anything.
put
Yeah.
on your website. And that was not necessary. It didn't have to be ruled that way, but it was, and that's never been revisited or changed. So that's what sets up
Yeah.
the thing where YouTube, you know, pays nothing, and Spotify and Apple.
Yeah, the streaming
Music and all
services
that,
are that's starting.
they pay nothing. I mean, it's virtually nothing. So you might say, you know, but that's not, it didn't have to be that way. You know,
Yeah.
computers can track how many times something gets played, and there could be some kind of assessment for that stuff from the viewers. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's okay. You want to hear this? You want to hear that? It's fine. Doesn't have to be expensive, but it needs to be something.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
So
especially for jazz, that's a problem.
this could be changed. You know, if we had a government that was at all actually responsive to the majority of the people, you know, it could be changed. You know? It's like, it doesn't have to be that way. There's a sort of feeling out there that's like, well, that's the way it is. It's automatically that way because the internet is automatically this thing. But that's not actually true.
True. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true what you're saying. I mean, we have to figure out also as artists what the, you know, I mean, Bandcamp is great for at least something.
Right.
To make, you know, but something on
Right.
this basis, I think that's the foundation for the future, I guess, because
Yeah.
you know, how do we make albums or what? Also the education of younger people, that they actually listen to the album, the experience that you had even more than I mean, I had CDs but you know, like to have the experience of buying an album, reading the booklet or a vinyl, and this whole romantic notion of, you know, you spent your something allowance and you have the Holy Grail and put it on, you know, and then spend hours with it. And
the amount of attention and concentration and learning that you get from something that you actually have to spend your money on, so you value it. You know, you can't buy 10 records, you can buy one. So you have to really think about which one you're going to get, you know.
Exactly.
And so you do a lot of research and listen, you know. And then when you get one, it's like, especially if you like that one, it's like you will wear it out, you know. It's like, let me play that again. And also my students, you know, they undergraduate, you know, ones that are not really all that serious about music, they're studying something else, and they're taking music courses, or, you know, but even the you know, young music majors, like that some of them, they don't have they don't know how to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't
I agree.
actually know how to listen. They don't know how to listen to like, well, listen to what he's doing with the hi-hat right now. Listen to the way, listen to that. Listen to the way he's playing
Yeah.
the ride cymbal,
Yeah.
or the way this particular bass player, that stuff doesn't get noticed. Because
Exactly.
this is
I,
so
I,
we
I
have,
tell my students, I had like, I'm self-taught with jazz, and I studied languages and literature, but I practiced like 6-7 hours when I was studying jazz, right, guitar. And I tell
yeah,
my students 1 hour of practice was listening, which meant, put on a tune and just like what you said now. Wow, wait a second.
right.
What's happening in the music? And this was my practice, and
Yes, right,
that's so
right,
important what you said now.
right.
What is Alvin
That's so
doing? What is
important.
Ed Blackwell doing on drums? Like different than Alvin or whoever. Like
Exactly.
that's
Right.
yeah,
Right. And also being able to listen to music for what the emotional communication is.
yeah,
It's something to listen to the technique and the notes and what people are playing and this and that. But there's another thing of like, okay, what are they actually saying? Listen to what he's saying.
yeah.
Listen to the quality of the statement.
Content. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. How you use the technique to actually express something.
yeah,
As
yeah,
opposed to just having the technique be the technique. It's like,
yeah.
but yeah, all right. Well, you got a lot. Maybe you have a whole lot of technique, but what are you actually doing with it? Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
so
exactly.
then that's another thing that in the endless YouTube thing of it plays one, it plays another one, it plays another one, it plays another one. There's no information. You can never find out who's actually on the
Yeah,
record or when it was made or who wrote the music or anything about it. And it's like, this is a great disservice.
true. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
really,
true.
this is not actually good for the art form.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I mean,
We'll
hopefully
see, because
good times ahead.
listen, there's always young people coming up who
Yeah,
are
yeah,
all
sure.
over all of this, what we just said. They know all of this and they're
Yeah,
just totally into it.
yeah,
There's always, there's always people coming up that are like, oh my goodness,
yeah, yeah. Researchers, I love that. Yeah,
play music. Yeah, it's
it's
so
nice.
there's nothing's gonna die out here.
It's still quite a form. The music you play or we play, it's like still
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
marginal in a way. It's not pop. It's really art, and it's heavy music in a way to listen to. Also, it's demanding.
yeah,
At least I'll put it like that. So
yeah,
even if it
yeah.
grooves and it has the groove or it's funky, it's still not for everyone. So
Right. Nothing will ever be for everyone. That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
And,
But Rare, I wanted to ask you this before, like, you mentioned that you went with Braxton for the first time in Europe, and how did you land? How did that gig with Braxton happen, actually? And
oh man, I got that gig. I got that gig from George Lewis.
Oh, really? Oh,
George
wow.
Lewis was playing trombone with Braxton, and when he decided to quit to do other things, he didn't want to keep doing that. And Anthony asked him like, okay, wow, okay, so who can possibly, fill your shoes on the trombone
Exactly. Yeah.
in here? And George recommended me. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I will be forever in debt to George Lewis for that, because that really was what made my career move from being, like I said, I made a living playing Latin music in New York and doing stuff and, to some kind of international recognition. And then there was press and people started writing, and then I got offered to make a record of my own. And then, I mean, that, my career took off from that point in many ways, So, George and I were the two kids in the fourth grade at age 9, in Chicago in school who selected the trombone.
Oh, wow.
When the school offered the school offered a program to, give your kids a chance to play music. And so they can pick an instrument, and they have this whole deal worked out for a rental of a student model, something or other, and then they would, you'd get some lessons from somebody, we had this wonderful guy, Frank Tiro, this incredible music educator who did, played alto saxophone, but he was great music educator. He could he could tell you what was, he could get you started, So he got us, so Frank got us started, and George and I were in every, we were in the jazz band together, and then we were in the orchestra together, and we were, it was like we were right through high school, so so he's just an incredible person.
Yeah.
Have you spoken to him? Is he on?
No, not yet, man. I would love that.
Oh man, you should talk to George if you possibly can.
Oh, you have his email. If you have his email, please send me his email if you have it.
Yeah,
I would love to write him. Yeah, he's one of my heroes also. So
Yeah, he's definitely one of my heroes. Like, man, George he's just incredible.
Monster musician.
Yeah, monster musician, but monster intellectual and social, commentary. Like, he's incredible, man. His book, A Power Stronger Than Itself, which is a history of the AACM, is absolutely record.
I have to check it out. Okay.
Yeah. I'll put it in. Y'all can put it in the chat. Shall I do that?
Oh, please, yeah.
I could put this in the chat.
Or just send me an email later, or.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
But to play with Braxton in the, I love that quartet with Thurman Barker and John Lindbergh. I love it. Man, that's such an underrated group by Braxton, actually. I mean, and how did you learn to play with Anthony? Let's say, how did you cope with his music in the beginning? Because when I listened to that quartet, you seem to be like really, playing contrapunctual lines and going, and you found this kind of snakish way around him in a way, if you know what I mean. How did that develop, and how did you get the ideas to do that with his music? Like,
well, I learned a lot from Anthony Braxton. I learned a lot from him, and but when I first got the gig, when he called me, and then we had some work, and it was in November or something. I've forgotten, but it was a couple months away, and we were going to rehearse in Chicago, where Braxton is also from, So I went home, and I got this Anthony Braxton book, and I went in the basement and practiced this Anthony Braxton book like 5 hours a day, trying to learn how to play this Braxton music. So difficult, because I'd heard some records and stuff, and I was, man, this is actually not possible on the trombone. However, George is doing it, so so it is possible. You know what I mean? So I just worked my ass off, and then when we started playing, it was beautiful from Jump Street. But I'll tell you one thing that was, I mean, I learned a lot of stuff from him, but one thing that was fascinating was at one point, Braxton said to me, okay, Ray, like when we're playing in the, in other words, okay, so the way the band worked would be, there'd be, say, 4 tunes in a set, but the music never stopped. Braxton never spoke to the audience or announced anything. You probably know this because you heard, right? So in between the tunes, there were these undecided, like, improvisational sections, which was sometimes the whole band, or sometimes somebody solo, or sometimes this or that. It really depended on the set and what we had done before and kind of what was needed, and what tune was coming and which one, this changed all the time. But in a lot of that improvisation, I came out a little bit, maybe more out of a kind of ornette thing, or you know, I had listened to a bunch of Cecil Taylor's
Mhm.
stuff, and but I just remember Braxton saying like, "Okay, Ray, don't join me. Don't don't join me." You know, your inclination is like, okay, that's where he's going, so I'm gonna go
Yeah.
somewhere contrapuntal or in some way supportive to what he's doing. But Braxton was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You do your own thing. You know, just like, which,
Yeah.
and Braxton has an incredible sense of humor, He's very, very funny guy. So the way he says this is just absolutely charming. It's not, but it's like, no, I'm over here. Now you leave me alone. You go do your own, go do your own thing. Go do your, and that was a huge lesson for me because I realized that's like, okay, what he's doing is expanding the palette
Yeah.
here, so instead of it being like a focus like that, now it's like a focus, so now it's a painting where like, oh, something's going on in this corner and something else is going on, and there's all these things going on, and everything is of course always related just by the fact that it's in the same space.
Yeah.
It's related, and so this is a way of stretching the music, like
canvas in a way,
open.
or yeah.
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, that was
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful, and his whole multi-instrument thing, like really, I just play trombone, but it's like, no, you got to have a bunch of. So then I got into tuba and bass trombone, and I had a slide trumpet, and yeah.
That's
Oh
incredible.
man, that was great, man.
That's
Wow.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thanks, Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Anthony, for all
I
the
got
music.
so much from him, man. What a wonderful, incredible musician. What a monster musician.
Did you meet Elias also through Anthony, Mark?
No, I met Helias through Mark Dresser, through
really?
going up to New Haven, where Dresser came to New York, and a little while after that, he said, I don't think this is the place for me right now. So he moved up to New Haven, where he had some cousins. He had some cousins and people up there. So it was basically through going up to see Dresser in New Haven. Then that's where I met Hemingway and Helias, and Verona Clough and Anthony Davis. And there was, Dwight Andrews. There was an amazing scene up there, man.
I mean,
and I was living in New York, but I would go up and spend a weekend or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that how the idea then for bass, drum, and bone? Do you remember the first gig when it happened?
Yeah.
Like you three guys?
Yep. Because the three of us got together and played, and it was instantly totally wonderful. It was just amazingly wonderful. It was just like, wow, this feels like an old, comfortable glove or something. It just fits. So we were having a good time with that, and Hemingway was teaching at this educational arts center thing. He had this teaching gig at this. It was called the ECM. I don't remember what the M was. Educational Center for. No, I don't remember. But it was this thing, and they had a really good space. And Hemingway said, "Man, we could go in there and record." So this was all do it yourself.
So that's how that Oahspe happened. The first record.
Say again?
That's how that Oahspe.
Oahspe was recorded by Hemingway, and friends of his on a reel-to-reel thing, in that they had a very nice sounding room there. In this ECM place, they had a big room, very nice sounding room, and we had a gig in there, and then we went in there also and made some recordings of stuff. So
it's a killer record, like
Thank you.
by Gyro by Alias with the changing meter and your gibberish. I think gibberish is on that one.
Yeah,
I love that stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
It sounds so modern. It's like 1979, but it's even if
It's
you put it on now
70, yeah.
or
I
eight
guess
maybe even.
we
Yeah.
made it in 78 or I
Wow.
forget exactly, you know.
Yeah. It sounds even now when you put it on. It's like, wow, man. It's
Yeah, that's cool. I now, of course, I haven't listened to that in I don't know how many years. That would be kind of interesting if I played it again. Let's see, what does it sound like now? I wonder. Yeah.
it's funny because you guys played basically what musicians are playing now. You know what it's you know having odd meters and structures and then going into open sections and free playing. That's why for my ear it sounds really modern because kind of I mean
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
modern now in a way still or is.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Right. Right. It's
And
like,
it's
yeah,
beautiful what
it's
you
like
guys did.
that,
Yeah.
that idea of, we can do everything.
Yeah.
We can do everything, which I really credit the art ensemble of Chicago with that.
Hmm.
For me, like listening to those cats in those records, like Reason, the smooth ones, and that stuff they made in
Yeah.
Paris, and
Yeah.
then other records where you realize, like, oh yeah, I get it. It's not like the music goes in a direction, like there was this and then there was this and then there was this. There was two beat and then there was swing and then there was bebop and then there was hard bop and then there was bird and then there was sunny and then there was but no, it's kind of like now, you know there's everything.
Yeah.
So, because the art ensemble would be playing something that was, they could out Boulez on the avant-garde
Exactly.
tip.
Yeah.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
But 10 minutes later, they'd be playing a reggae tune. See, that's the thing. Then, you know what I mean? Then it's like, then a little while later, they're like, they've gone to Africa, or they're playing some kind of reggae tune or
Yeah.
something, it's gotten funky. So I just said, okay, so we can do everything.
Yeah.
We can do everything. We can do everything whenever we want to do something else, we can do something else. We don't have to stay in a certain, like we play out music, so we're just going to play out music
Yeah. Yeah.
for,
Exactly. Yeah.
45 minutes until your ear falls off, It's like that doesn't actually please me,
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's like I want to hear something else, I want the stuff to change and grow. So yeah, so you write compositions that will stimulate these different areas,
How do you
And
approach this usually when you write, let's say for bass, drum and bone, or for your bands? What's your process when writing? Do you start on piano or like?
No, I always start from trombone.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, I always start from trombone. I can't play the piano.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I never went to music school. I'm
Oh,
really,
wow. That's so cool.
I'm entirely self-taught from the age of 16, really.
Now I feel better.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of wonderful educational experiences and brief encounters with people that taught me a whole bunch of shit. And I should mention, when I first came to New York, I was, for a little while, I was able to take composition lessons with Jimmy Giffrey.
Really? Oh,
And
man.
I learned so much, man.
How's that like?
Oh,
Wow.
that was fabulous. And I was in this thing, the University Without Walls, that was part of NYU for a brief period there, and I got to study composition with Jimmy Giffrey, which was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And so I'm hanging out with Jimmy Giffrey, and we had a few lessons, and we started playing, and then he invited me to join his band. So then I was in
Really?
Jimmy Giffrey's quartet for a while. Man, that was
Are you serious?
incredibly
Wow, I didn't know.
wonderful. Yeah. Just the four of us, just Jimmy and me and oh shit, now I can't remember. Randy Kay played drums, and can't remember the bass player. And we never recorded or anything, so that
Ah, man.
that's That's not documented anymore.
Oh man.
But but anyway, I digress. But when I write, it does depend on the band.
Band, sure. Yeah.
It does, So if I'm thinking pocket brass band, then right away I know I don't have a chordal instrument, so that sensitive ballad that you just wrote, with the beautiful tensions of the chords, is not going to be able to get that to speak.
Yeah.
You got to figure out another way to do that space. That's just not going to, it won't sound. There's only 3 single note horns. That's it. So, so that makes a difference. And yeah, it depends. It does depend on the band. So, yeah.
Yep. You wrote a lot, right? I mean, since beginning of the 80s, like a lot of music, so a lot of records you've done, and so much music since Harrisburg Half-Life. I mean, already, like, I think that was so many of your tunes. So much different stuff also. And you seem, bass, drum and bone and pocket brass band, none have chordal instruments, which is interesting. But
yeah. But then I did a bunch of stuff as a Ray Anderson Quartet with piano, bass, and drums. That was wonderful, and I'm thinking about doing that again.
Oh wow, really?
And and just briefly, I did the one with I did the organic quartet with Hammond organ and guitar. Did you hear that one?
No, who's in the band in that one?
That was fabulous too. That was Gary Versace is playing organ, and Steve Salerno's playing guitar, and Tommy Campbell's playing drums.
Oh wow, man, I have to check it out. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a record that's also on Intuition out of Challenge, and we did a couple tours with that, which was really fun.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful.
And kind of like the one. I did one a long time before that with Amina, with Amina Claudine Myers, and Jerome Harris, and Lonnie Plaxico and Tommy. That's beautiful.
Yeah, you did that one with Simon Nabatov also, and Charlie and Blackwell, right? I love that record.
Haden and Blackwell.
Every one of us, man. That's such a killing record. That's such a beautiful record. When you play way shorter, the Lady Day and Coltrane's stuff. Man. Yeah. How did the story with Blackwell happen, by the way, with for that record? Did you guys play or?
I knew Blackwell sort of indirectly for many years, and sometimes sat in with him a little bit, but I know him through Mark Helias.
Mark, right? Yeah, okay.
Because Mark was his favorite bass player, so they did all that work together. They did all that new, with Don Cherry and Blackwell and Nana.
Yeah.
Vasconcelos.
Oh, I love that guy. Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, and Carlos Ward. Man, that was a great band. So I kind of knew Blackwell from that, and this is when I had still Enja.
Yeah.
I think I had Enja, or I had
I think
Gramovic.
I think it's Enja. Yeah.
I think it's Enja. I can't really remember exactly but I think it was or maybe it was Gramovision.
Gramovision. Yeah.
In other words, there was such a thing as a record label.
Exactly.
And so, so the answer to your question is really like, there used to be these things called record labels that actually tried to promote artists, not just for one weekend, but, maybe like for some years, actually, as you could have a record label and you could have a career that the record label
that's dark
something to do with, this is not ancient history, but it's like this stuff used to exist. And so so you could talk to somebody at the record label about, well, what would be a good project, what should we do, what I mean?
Like everyone now below 30 is like Googling record label. What is this?
Yeah, what's he talking about? Right?
What is this? Is this like a kitchen utensil or something?
Never heard of it, right?
Yeah. But is this how also the blues bread in the bone happened with Scofield, or how is the story there? I mean,
yeah, that's on Gramavision.
Yeah, and Scofield was then on Gramavision, of course. So
actually,
okay.
that record
love that
was
one,
right when I shifted from Enja to Gramavision, and so I think that might actually be an Enja record.
Yeah, I think it's Enja. Yeah,
I think that's an Enja record, and then the next one I made was Gramavision.
Well, it's
so
a
maybe
beautiful record. I mean, so
I think
beautiful.
maybe every one of us is actually Gramavision.
Okay, it's 91. Yeah, 92.
But Blues Bread in the Bone was kind of the last Enja record, you know.
Yeah, it's a beautiful record. I mean, it's funny. It's interesting when I see your records in the 80s. Then you have the one with Danny Richmond and Cecil McBee and Kenny Barron, man, the old bottles. That also such a record.
See, you know, that again, that's a record label doing that. That was Matthias Winkelmann's idea.
Really?
You know, he said, so got this reputation as you know, mostly your international reputation is from Braxton and as an avant-garde trombone player.
Yeah,
that's what the press has mostly reviewed Braxton. They don't know that you spent years playing rhythm and blues and that you played 10,000 Latin gigs. They don't know that. They don't know you can play standards. So why don't we make a record of standards?
Yep.
Just to show that it's like, you know, you're not a one-dimensional artist. You actually can play like all these different ways. I owe Matthias for that.
Oh wow!
Because I had no way I could call up Kenny Barron and Danny Richmond and well, I knew Danny.
Oh really?
Actually, I knew Danny because I knew Danny from working with Benny Wallace.
Oh man, really? Of course you guys played together. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we made some records and did a bunch of stuff, you know, including
Scofield is on them.
Danny.
Also, yeah.
We toured around Europe as a quartet with Danny and stuff. That was fabulous.
Man.
You know.
That's beautiful.
So I knew him, but you know, you see what I mean? I can't call these cats up and say, well, you want to make a record for, you know, it's like, it takes a company with some money and something that people know. And, you know, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Do it on your own now.
Yeah. It's incredible. And also you did Slick of Phonics before that, which is also another side of you. There's an amazing footage of you guys.
Slick of Phonics is interesting because that like bass trombone, that's an entirely cooperative band. So it's not anybody's band, it's everybody's band. And it might be my career is a little unusual in that respect, but I like the art ensemble or something. It's like nobody's in charge, you know, so we play everybody's music. And anything that you write, that you bring in, will be tremendously affected by the other people in the band, you know. And of course that's true in any good band.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's always, you know, that's always true. But yeah, that was a cooperative thing, and you know, we all like funk and dance music, and you know, we grew up with Motown and all that, you know, all that. It's like, come on, let's play some funk. And it just started out like we just got together at Jim Payne's tiny apartment just for the hell of it. I mean, we were just doing it for fun, you know. And then at a certain point, Jim said, well, why don't we get a gig, you know? And it was during that time where the punk music scene was sort of exploding. So there were all these little tiny clubs and stuff where, you know, it was like, oh, you got a band? Oh, okay. You know, like, you know, somehow you could get in there, you know, and so that started the Slick of Phonics.
It's a killer group. It's such an underrated group in a way, because it's you know, there's one footage, I think, is it Montreal or You guys
Well, I'm
played
sure
for,
it's easy to find on YouTube
yeah,
and stuff. There is
it's
a bunch of stuff somewhere, but
you
that one
dancing like crazy and Alias playing the E-bass like a mother, beep, you know, it's so really, it's so
right.
cool to see, like, and you like
Yeah.
dancing. It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
good vibe. I mean,
Yeah. It was like, yo, let's party. Yo, you
yeah,
know, let's party. This is it. You
beautiful
know.
stuff, man. I mean,
And those
beautiful
tunes
stuff.
were fun to write and sing and stuff too, man. Now that was really fun. That was
Incredible,
beautiful. Yeah.
incredible.
That
Yeah.
was beautiful. Wow.
Otherwise, Ray, I wanted just to ask you, like, you know, you played with, did this record with Charlie, Haden, and Ed Blackwell being your rhythm section in a way, but you also played with his Liberation Orchestra. And
Yeah.
how did this story with that band happen? I mean, that band is incredible, you know, like the Montreal tapes and just, you know, Mick
Oh
Goodrick and all
man.
these guys
Yeah.
and Paul Motion, I think, on
Oh
drums, and
man.
Tim Hagens and everyone. And how did this story with
Yeah.
Charlie begin?
That how did it begin? Samo, I can't actually really remember. How did I get started in that band? They at some point Charlie called up.
Hmm.
Honestly, I can't remember when that started. It was certainly after every one of us. So we had played together. So he knew my playing, you know, because that was later. That was later than
Yeah.
that. But I, for the life of me, I can't really remember. You know, what I remember clearly is a week at the Vanguard with that band.
Oh man,
Which
with
was,
Paul on drums, or
oh yeah,
oh
yeah.
wow, beautiful.
Paul Motion,
And Jerry Allen, or
Motion, and Gerry Allen
oh
on
man,
piano.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and Tom Harrell and Stanton Davis, I think,
oh
was
yeah,
the players. You know, and Lovano and Ken McIntyre and man,
yeah.
who else was it? The other, and Dewey.
Dewey, oh yeah,
Lovano, McIntyre, and Dewey.
yeah. That's a
I
that's a
mean, it was a
section.
hell of a band, man.
That's a
You
section.
know,
Yeah.
and Earl McIntyre and Sharon Freeman on French horn and tuba, you know, and man, that was just a hell of a band. And yeah, Mick Goodrick, my goodness, wow,
Yeah, the monster.
what an amazing
A lot of fun.
musician. Wow, yeah. So that was, man, that was great.
Like, incredible, man. Yeah.
That was really great. Yeah, we went to Cuba when Cuba was closed, you know, it's like it was illegal to go to Cuba, but they figured out some way. We flew to Miami and then we had a chartered flight at like 1 a.m. or something. And we went to Cuba and we were in Cuba for a week for this festival.
Yeah.
And yeah. That was, then it was on, you know, the personnel would change around. So because that was George Adams then.
Really? Oh man. Oh.
George Adams was in that band. When we went to Cuba, George Adams was in that band.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful, man. Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. How was Charlie like as a band leader? Opposite when, you know, let's say he played in your quartet.
He was very cool, but the thing that Charlie was wonderful with me. He was wonderful, very, very cool. But the thing that was magical about it is Carla Bley. Because, you know, Carla Bley did all the arrangements.
Yeah, sure.
And so she would rehearse it.
Wow.
You know, I mean, she played in it sometimes, but mostly Carla wasn't playing.
Wow.
Carla was, she wrote all the arrangements and she would rehearse it. You know, she would,
Wow.
you know, between her and Charlie, I mean, they both would, you know, you'd go to rehearsal and Charlie would be there and they worked as a beautiful team, you know, because she arranged the stuff. So she knew exactly what was supposed to be happening where, but Charlie, you know, knew how to, you know, what he wanted to do with the spirit of the thing. And it was very, very flowing. I mean, you know, it's like everybody in the band, we kind of knew what to do with this. It was beautiful.
Yeah, like that long one, La Passionaria, I think it's called, like 20 minutes or something like that, man. That's so
yeah.
it just goes
Yeah.
like incredible stuff. Yeah.
And every incarnation of that band is wonderful.
Yeah.
I guess there's 4 records, and the personality changes a lot on them, and that all of them are really amazing.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just wanted to ask you, Ray, not to take too much of your time, but like since I have you here, how was the experience with Sam Rivers? Speaking of big bands, I love Culmination that you guys did, kind of like Sam's comeback in a way, or whatever, like we want to put it.
Oh yeah.
And inspiration, those 2 big bands. How did that begin, and how was that experience like for you?
Also, just an enormous honor and privilege to be called to do that. It was just,
because did you guys play in the 70s already? Like
yeah. He had that big band, and one famous gig, we got on a bus and we went to Kent State University in Ohio and played this big concert in Kent State. I remember, and it was and the band was incredible. I mean, the personnel of the band was incredible, and the trombone section was something like me, Joe Bowie, and George Lewis.
Wow!
It's like this is a trombone section of
to die
heaven
for.
and hell both. I mean, that was wonderful, and what a far out spirit. What a great spirit. The thing I always remember was Sam, Sam would rehearse the band, and Sam would sing the parts. Sam would be like, so I would sing this. It was like fabulous. It's like, okay, this is how it goes. And then this comes in. It's like, he'd be singing this shit. Man, that shit had spirit, man. That was that shit had wonderful spirit. Why?
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
I wish there had been more. I wish there had been more of the Sam Rivers Big Band, and I wish I had done more of the Charlie Haden thing too. Charlie, he had a couple of tours of Europe that I did not go on. So that's when that's what ended our association. They were like a month long in Europe in the summer, and with my life and my 2 little kids and I just couldn't actually do it. That was too long for me.
Yeah, that's all one. Yeah,
it's like some of those were just too long. I couldn't do Epitaph either. Like 40 cats touring Europe and 2 buses playing this crazy ass Mingus shit. It's like I did get asked, but I just was like, man, there's other parts to my life, and I actually can't do that.
Yeah.
So
and I know what
of
you
course,
mean.
you always sort of wish you did, but on the other hand, I'm sure that was the right decision for me. At that time, that was the right decision.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just to one last thing, is bass drum and bone? Are you still planning to do some stuff?
Yep, we're still. I mean, we haven't done anything in a minute, and
I mean, I love the last
Hemingway
record.
lives in Switzerland.
Yeah, sure.
And Mark and I are over here, and so we haven't really done anything to speak of since the 40-year anniversary thing. Now, did you hear that one? Did you get that one?
Yeah, I love that one. That's
thanks, man.
That's killing.
That was also really fun with Jason and
with
Joe.
Lovano. Yeah. They add such a color. It's like making a soup and you throw in some coriander. It's like, man, Joe comes in.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that was really fun. So we're thinking like, okay, we got to do something else. The time has come. We got to do something else.
It's 45 years
so
now, slowly.
Yeah, the plan is to record this year, to somehow get together and do some stuff this year. So maybe in the summer we can figure that out.
Super.
Yeah. Oh, and I want to mention before we start, I want to mention this, that I've been teaching for nearly 20 years now, at Stony Brook
Yeah.
University here, running the jazz department, and I am finally writing a book. So
Like a
I am finally
autobiography
writing
or
a very, very thin book about, because I've taught this improvisation class for like 19 years now, which is not jazz or any genre.
Okay.
And so can we just come together and improvise music that has meaning and feeling and all those good things that music needs to have, without paper or really prior discussion about what we're going to do. And so a lot of the folks in the class are always these virtuosic classical musicians
Interesting.
that are studying at Stony Brook. Because Stony Brook's, the jazz department is this tiny little thing. It's really just me. And now I have one other guy, Tom Manuel, who helps out, but it's really just me. And in the graduate school, there's maybe 5 or 6, students, and that's it. But the classical department is big and famous. It's like the Emerson String Quartet teaches here, Gil Kalish teaches here. All these cats from the New York Philharmonic are here. There's a lot of, so there's these incredible musicians that come to study with them, many of whom have no improvisational experience and don't know how to really play anything if it's not written down. So it's been just a fabulous experience working with them for these years. And I've kind of developed all this stuff to get them to play without paper, to get them to just play.
Yeah, that's so important.
And it's not jazz lessons. It's not like, okay, here's the blues, and it's like, it's just improvisation, So I've been distilling this for years, and people have been telling me, like, you ought to write this down. So I actually am finally writing this down.
When is it coming out?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't done it. I haven't finished it yet. So I don't know when it's coming out, but it will come out for sure.
Oh, beautiful, man! I'd love to check this one out.
I'm at this point in it. It's like I'm nearly done with the whole book in what will only be a first draft. I mean, it'll have to be rewritten. And so there's still a lot of work to do, and since I'm also teaching full time, it hasn't been that easy to find time to write it. I wrote a lot of it last summer, and we'll see. Probably next summer I can do a bunch of this.
Oh, beautiful.
It's hard to do it while I'm also trying to play some gigs and teach
write music and everything.
And write music and do this. I'm tenured faculty over there and the director of jazz, so it's like there is a bunch of work.
Sure.
But I am writing this thing, and it will come out.
Beautiful.
And I look forward at some point in the future, I don't know when, but at some point, to actually retiring from Stony Brook, and then maybe being able to go around and teach,
present this. Master classes, kind of like. Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I'm looking forward to read that. I always find this an interesting topic, because classical musicians are technically amazing, but then you tell them to play something free, and it's just like, what do you mean? I mean, like, what do you do? Well,
right.
It's so funny to me. Like,
I have actually worked out that there's 10 chapters now. 10 or 11 chapters, which are all saying sort of the same thing in a different way. That's what that's what's interesting about trying to teach this, because it's not technique really. And so you don't go from, well, first you learn this, and then you learn this, and then you learn that. It's not really like that. It's like all of these things are valuable all the time. And so none of them ever get, like, you don't progress from one to another, but you do progress.
Sure.
So it's really, it's like the whole thing is full of paradoxes. I love that about it.
For them, it's just like overcoming a barrier.
Exactly.
do something
Exactly.
without sheet music. I think that's just the
Yeah, there's no paper. There's no
Yeah.
paper in there.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
there's lots of well, there is paper like these things. I hand out these little things that say stuff and there's many quotes from different people about,
Sure.
yeah.
That's important. Oh,
So
beautiful, man.
that's
Looking forward to that.
yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Great, Ray. Thanks so
Cool,
much
Ken.
for sharing some of these thoughts. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. And
Dr. Jazz.